Everybody that surfs kind of has a special connection because we all are kind of in on a secret about how awesome it is. And especially through City Surf Project, it's just a group of people that are all super like-minded and all want to do the same thing. So there's definitely a strong community there.
We're all like from different places. We go to different schools, like we grew up differently, and here we are.
Within like a week, we just like met each other. We just like got the confidence to talk to each other, to like laugh with each other, just like to bond.
The Silt program is a group of high school kids from across the Bay Area. Silt stands for Surf Instructor Leadership Training. We did CPR certification, had wilderness medical training and some lifeguard training, some outdoor skills training. After that, we jumped into surf camps and started helping run those for the rest of the summer.
The Silt program to me is just teaching other kids how to surf, something not a lot of people of color get to experience because it's not really offered to us. So when I first got the opportunity, I took it, and I just want to give that opportunity to other kids.
I think the Silt program is just like a really smart way to keep kids who are like really passionate about surfing during the summer, because a lot of us can't get out unless it's with City Surf Project.
We still get kids from like last year, and like they still remember us, and they remember like us pushing them into the like waves, and they remember like specific like moments. Like I caught my first wave with City Surf Project, you know, and I caught my first wave with City Surf Project.
I'm first generation American. I grew up in San Francisco. My mother's from Ireland and my father's from Scotland. We have a couple of little American cousins, but yeah.
I'm Middle Eastern. There was a lot of like different like kind of blockades in my life. It was like either the culture or like where you're from or like your childhood. My dad left when I was very young, and we had to move around just because it was kind of like dangerous being around him. After my dad left, like I had to like find a way to find myself and like kind of like fight through that. The first thing I would think about was the ocean. It was always the ocean. I loved going out there and just listening to the waves.
Growing up in San Francisco, the beach has been a pretty big part of my life.
My parents are originally from Guatemala. They fled to the U.S. because of troubles that they had with the state that the country was in, and also for us, find a better future. As a child, my parents, we always used to take this trip to Yosemite, and we always used to get off where that huge waterfall's at and just sit in the grass and lay on our backs to enjoy the sky and experience what nature really is.
I was born in San Francisco. I lived here my whole life. I never really spent a lot of time in the ocean before I started surfing. When I walk outside my house, there's a lot of cars. I live on a busy street, and the J Church runs by 24 hours a day, so it can get really overwhelming to be surrounded by just constant noise and motion and people all the time.
I was born here in San Francisco, lived here my whole entire life in the Excelsior district. There's like a bar in the block where I live, so at night you would just hear like a lot of people yelling. It just comes a part of just living in the city and living in that area. I never think I would become a surfer. But when I heard the program in my school, I was like, might as well give it a shot.
Whenever I was younger, my mom would just like bring me down and we'd just mess around and dig holes and paddle about in the water. We'd spend all of our time on the beach and in the Golden Gate Park and like Panhandle and all that. I saw surfers out in the water and I was just like, dudes. So that's why I didn't really think I could be a surfer. And I was just like, this is not for me.
This summer, we started out meeting each other at City Surf headquarters, and then we went on a 5-day backpacking trip.
I've never gone backpacking. It was really interesting to see preparations that you have to make, how everything has to fit like perfectly so you don't get super uncomfortable.
We were hiking 7 miles with around 30 to 40 pound backpacks.
Honestly, it was really difficult the first few miles, getting used to just constantly moving with so much weight out of your back.
Nobody knew each other, and we were like going through this experience together.
We actually had like the bougiest food when we were on this trip. Like we straight up brought tons and tons of cans of beans and stuff, and like we brought a bell pepper on a backpacking trip and we chopped it up. It actually got tipped over and nobody got to eat the bell pepper, but we still brought it, and like the food tasted good.
Sitting around the campfire definitely was a great opportunity for me to get to know everybody. You do all this hard work to get this fire started, and you do all this work to get to the fire. Everybody's just kind of beat down and tired, so everybody's super happy that they can just sit around and talk.
It was like the second day we were out there, and everybody was super close already.
This is my first year in Silt program. Surfing is really helpful for me because I don't go outside that much. I just want to be in my own bubble, you know? And I'm grateful that I'm in City Surf because like without this, I don't know what I would be in or like doing right now.
I grew up in the city, born and raised. I first started surfing, I think I was 10. My dad took me out for the first time.
I don't know if I even got in the water the first time they took me out surfing because I was so nervous. Because it's just being in the water and having the waves coming at you and you don't know how to handle it necessarily. But once I started getting in the water and I started surfing, I was like, oh, even when I wipe out really bad, it's still not that bad. Maybe I should just keep trying.
I remember like the first time I went surfing like so vividly. I didn't stand up on any waves, but I was just so happy to be there and I just felt good for like weeks afterwards.
The surf camps for me are probably my favorite part of being a Silt. We meet with a different group or organization every week, take them out to the beach. The first day it's Crissy Field, and then the next 2 days it's a variety of beaches.
This is really the first opportunity I've had to teach other people something that I know.
It's a really tiring job, but it pays off at the end, just seeing the smile on kids' faces and just making them happy and making them laugh and giving them a new experience that hopefully they'll never forget.
I love everything about surfing. Getting out in the ocean, especially living in San Francisco, is a way to just get away from everything and go into like a completely different environment that we wouldn't normally get to be a part of.
Being in the ocean, it helps me concentrate and helps me just center myself. It just provides so many things that you wouldn't normally see being stuck in a classroom.
When you're out on the waves in the ocean, you don't hear the cars passing by, you don't see all the people, all the tall buildings. You're just kind of relaxing in the ocean, and there's not that much influencing you.
It's just a super easy and really good way to just get away from anything that's bothering you.
When I'm in the ocean, I'm just focusing on myself and the waves. I just like to be free out there.
Just when you're waiting for a wave and like there's no waves and it's just all calm, it's like a time you just really start thinking about life and what it means. You're not really necessarily worried about the problems anymore. You're just more thinking of solutions instead of being like, no, I have all this stress, like, no, I have to do that, I have to go pay that, I have to do that later. So I guess surfing just helps clear my mind.
I'm still kind of scared of the ocean, but the minute I get into the water, like all that just goes away.
The ocean is escape and joy and just like freedom. You just get to go wild. It's fabulous.